Many teachers use Edmodo as a place to share information with their students, sort of a communication hub, which allows them to conduct polls, uh, conduct quizzes, have the students turn in assignments online, and make general announcements for the class, and just maybe just good old-fashioned pep talks and things like that. The students, on the other hand, will get all this information from their perspective, and they see the same post that you shared with the entire class. They have an assignment to turn in, they have a quiz to take, and they already voted on the poll, and different things like that. So many people are familiar with the student-teacher relationship with Edmodo, but sometimes I think they overlook the fact that you can also get parents involved. So here's a particular post that I shared just with the parents. This is a class I called Class 333, and this is a parent newsletter, and I posted it, and only parents are going to see that. The next post previous to that was remember that your permission slips are due. Now this was a post that I wanted to remind students of, and I sent it to parents. And so what's nice about this is now parents can be alerted for things that you designate their eyes only. How do we get parents connected to the course is an important kind of feature to take a look at. Well, if you go to the members for your class, these are all the people enrolled in my class, each child gets a parent code. And so this particular parent code is associated with Emmett. So if Emmett's parents wanted to join in and follow along through their own Edmodo accounts, they would use that code and create an account. You can see that Stuart's parents have done this already, and they used a code and connected with an account. So if I just go to More, go to Parent Code, I could also go and change this code and reset it if I so desired. Now, how do the parents get this code? Well, I could pull it off of here and send it to a parent if you're only going to do this for a few students. Or you can instruct the students to give the code to their parents. So here's Stuart's account. And when Stuart goes to his home page at Edmodo, notice he has all the posts that I sent him. But down on the bottom is the code, the parent code. This is something that the parent will then use, and they go to Edmodo and they create an account. There's I'm a teacher, I'm a student, but down here in the corner is I'm a parent. And parents will first start off with what is the relationship, the first name, last name. They need an email address and password, and they insert the parent code here. Once the parent has created an account, they can simply come back to Edmodo anytime they'd like, log in with their email and their password, and get a snapshot of what their child is doing in Edmodo. So let's take a look at what that looks like. It's a little different from what the student sees and a lot different from what the teacher sees. It's more of an abridged version because the intent here is to only show the parent the interactions that their child has with the class, what they're saying to the class, and what the teacher and child, their communications are happening between them. So the parents can afterwards, once assignments start getting graded and things like that, see how they're doing overall and the things that we can measure. And the parents can see all the things that the teacher has posted. And I believe the parents will also see anything the child has posted. What they won't see is something another child in the class has posted out. The idea, like I said, is to only see your child's perspective of the class. And that's a little bit of a nice privacy feature that keeps you seeing your child, but nothing else beyond that. So you can see these are the posts. I posted this, welcome students. Here's that alert that I sent to both the class and the parents. So now the parents get that, but so did the students. And here is a newsletter that I sent to the parents, but the students didn't get that. You can also take a look at Stuart's grades. The parent can do that. Not a lot of grades here because his class just started. And you can see how they're doing. Now, Stuart has an assignment, but it's not due until Christmas. So, but this, you can see how this would be a running total of how their scores are, and it gives different graphs as more and more data is added to the course. So that's a helpful feature. Now, another thing we could keep in mind is that Ken, Stuart's dad, is going to maybe have more than one child. Maybe he has an older daughter at a different level, Stephanie, and Ken could add Stephanie, and all he would need is the parent code from Stephanie's Edmodo account. Once Stephanie was added, then that would be added to this list, and Ken could separate Stuart out of Stephanie's feed here and see different things in the latest posts. Unfortunately, there isn't anything on here for like a special folder for parent documents. So like if you want this newsletter and you want to have teachers or parents come back to it again, really all they get is this kind of long chronological list. And so older items get pushed down. So there is no folder for the class. Like the students, they get a folder for their class for them to organize different things. And you can see that that folder is right here. But we don't have that for parents. What you could do is you could go to your teacher account and go to library. And if you went to library, you could go and look up your folders. And I have a bunch of folders, so this may take a little bit. And you could pick one of the folders that you use. I'm going to use this particular folder. And under folder options, you could make the folder public. Now, if you did this, then this link right here, if I copy that link will take whatever I put in there, that link will then be shared with the public. And if you gave that link as a post to the parents on the main page, so if you went here and said, this is the parent folder, and added that link like you see, and I just pasted that in there. I'll give it another title, parent. Oh, well, that'll work too. We'll use that for now. And attach that. And then I could post that to my classroom 333 parents and send. And what we're going to see then is this folder here is going to show up for our parents. Now let's find our parents' website. So let me reload the parents' website. And you will see now I posted this folder in there. And you could keep posting this. Like if you did a newsletter on every 2 weeks, you could just repost this link. And then in here would be a list of different things that you are sharing with the parents. And it would scroll up and down here. And new things would get pushed around and they can move through it, with the buttons and things like that. Now that folder is open to the public completely. But they would have to have this unique link that we pasted in there. They would have to have this link and share it with somebody. And when it's in here with Edmodo, it's kind of trickier to find, but it's not a obvious link to search for. But it isn't completely secure. So the idea is that a parent could take that link and just pass it on to somebody. So you keep in mind that you wouldn't put super sensitive information in here. You shouldn't put that stuff online anyways. That this would be kind of just a smaller walled garden for some of the kind of sort of parents' eyes only material. So that would be one way to kind of have a folder for parents. Now realize if you do a new post, this post gets pushed down, and so in order to bring it up to the top again, you just have to repost it. So to recap, parent accounts, very doable for Edmodo. You can send things just to parents. Parents get started with Edmodo by getting their parent code, either from you if you sent it to them directly, or if they go to their child's page and get the code from them. And then they simply go to Edmodo, log in. They have to create an account the first time, and then they log in with the parent code and they can follow along. Oh, and speaking of following along, last thing I should mention is when parents go to their account, they can go to settings and they can adjust their settings. So this is their information. And they can change their password, that kind of thing, but email and text. So they could choose to say, all right, well, I want to be alerted when there's a new assignment, when there are replies to me, alerts, but not the notes. I'm not going to follow everything that's posted to the class, but I am going to follow some of the big things. So they can adjust this as necessary. And they can also change it and say, okay, I want to do a text message instead. So I want to get a text message every time there is an alert or an assignment in my daughter's class, and they choose their cell phone provider and put that in there, and they'll get a text message that will allow them to kind of remind them to go to the website. So that's something they can adjust. If you're doing some sort of an email blast, this would be an easy way for parents to manage that. They just kind of take care of their email and kind of sort that information out here. So that's something else to consider when getting parents involved with Edmodo. Thanks for listening.